Picture this, you're an ancient sailor out on the open ocean. It's totally uncharted territory. Below you, the water is just inky black. You have no idea what's down there. So, for centuries, what do? We filled that darkness with stories. You know, tales of these massive beasts haunting the deep. Well, today, we're gonna drag those stories right out into the light. So, let's just get right to it. What if the greatest sea monsters were actually real? I mean, what if all those legends that scared the heck out of sailors for generations weren't just made-up stories? What if our need to create monsters was really just our brain trying to make sense of something it actually saw? That's what we're digging into today, that incredible blurry line between myth and cold, hard reality. Alright, so let's start with the big one, the most infamous of all, the Kraken. Just the name itself, right? It brings up these images of absolute terror on the open ocean. We're talking about the ultimate sailor's nightmare. This is the creature they said lived down in the coldest, darkest parts of the sea, just waiting to pull whole ships down to the bottom. Just listen to this description from the old legends. A beast the size of a floating island. Wow, its mighty arms pulling ships down to the icy depths. I mean, you can just feel the sheer terror in those words, can't you? A floating island? Imagine seeing something so huge you mistake it for land and then these giant tentacles shoot out of the water. For centuries that was the story, but come on, that's just a myth, right? Well, what about this number? 43 feet. Now that is not a number from some old dusty legend. Nope, that is a real scientific measurement. To put that in perspective, that's longer than a school bus, and it belongs to a real living creature that's swimming in our oceans right now. And boom, here's where it all connects. You've got the myth on one side, the Kraken, this ship-destroying monster, and on the other, the reality, the giant squid. This thing is the largest invertebrate on the entire planet, a true giant of the deep. So, okay, put yourself in the shoes of an early sailor, right? You're out at sea and you see a 43-foot creature with these huge eyes and tentacles just everywhere. Your brain just doesn't know what to do with that information. It's not thinking biology, it's thinking monster. The giant squid is almost certainly the real deal animal that kicked off all those terrifying legends. Okay, so let's switch gears a little. We're gonna jump from ancient folklore all the way to modern fiction, because now we're talking about a monster that wasn't born from sailor stories, but from the mind of one of the greatest horror writers ever, H.P. Lovecraft, and we're talking about Cthulhu. This thing isn't just a big animal, it's a cosmic horror. So here's what's so wild about Cthulhu. Yeah, it's this ancient godlike thing from space, but what does everyone remember? The head, right? That mass of tentacles, that squid-like face. It's totally iconic. A completely made-up design for a story. Or was it? I know, it sounds crazy, right? How could a monster from a story written in the 20th century have some kind of real-world counterpart? But this is where things get really cool, because it suggests that our planet's own history, well, it's a lot stranger and honestly a lot more monstrous than we usually give it credit for. And look at this, we're back to a big number again, 40 feet. That's almost the exact same size as the giant squid we were just talking about. But this number, it's not from a story, and it's not from some cosmic being. No, this belongs to a real predator that was swimming in our oceans back when the dinosaurs were still walking the earth. So meet the Tusoteuthis. I mean, just look at this comparison. We're talking about a giant squid-like creature from the Cretaceous period. Yep, the age of dinosaurs, that was probably around 40 feet long. Now, was Lovecraft thinking about this specific fossil when he wrote his story? Probably not. But what the Tusoteuthis proves is that our modern nightmares, they can connect to something ancient and real. That deep-seated fear of a Cthulhu-sized, tentacle-faced monster, that wasn't just fiction. It was, at one point, a prehistoric reality. So, where does this leave us? It seems like from the Kraken all the way to Cthulhu, our biggest, baddest monster stories are kinda haunted by a real truth, you know? The takeaway here is that our imagination isn't always just making stuff up out of thin air. Sometimes it's remembering. When you lay it all out, it's a really fascinating pattern, isn't it? Our fear of the deep, our awe. It's not just us being creative. It feels more like an ancient memory. You've got sailors seeing a real 43-foot giant squid and calling it the Kraken. You have horror writers creating monsters like Cthulhu that just so happen to look like real 40-foot prehistoric predators. That line between monster and reality has always been incredibly blurry. The ocean has always had its true titans, and our legends are basically the receipts. And that brings us to one last huge question. The crazy thing is, we've only explored a tiny fraction of our own oceans. So if our brains are basically wired to turn real, terrifying sights into myths, then what other real-life leviathans are still down there in the dark? What monsters are we just waiting to discover, ready to become the legends for a whole new generation?
Like and subscribe to learn more about mysteries of the past. Share now.